powerful person you've never met still remembers what you did. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. Because something inside you already feels it, doesn't it? That quiet pull, that strange sense that this message is not random. This is not just another video you clicked on while scrolling. No, this is not a coincidence. God brought you here for a reason. You may not understand it yet. You may not even remember the moment clearly. But somewhere in your past, there was a decision you made, a small action, something you thought no one saw, no applause, no recognition, no reward. Just a simple act, done quietly, maybe even forgotten by you, but not forgotten by them. There is someone, a powerful individual, someone who has influence, wealth, and reach far beyond what you can imagine. A billionaire, someone whose name carries weight in rooms you've never entered, someone who has access to opportunities you've only dreamed about, and somehow, in a way that defies logic, they remember you, not because of fame, not because of status, but because of something you did when no one else was watching. And, right now, you're probably asking yourself, how is that even possible? How could someone like that know me? Why would they remember something so small? But here's the truth you need to hear. God sees what others overlook. Every quiet act of kindness. Every moment you chose integrity over convenience. Every time you helped someone, even when you had nothing to gain. Every time you stayed true, even when it cost you. You thought it disappeared into nothing. But heaven keeps records, and sometimes God uses unexpected people to bring those hidden moments back into your life in ways you never saw coming. There are connections being formed right now that you cannot see. Doors being prepared that you didn't knock on. People being positioned. Conversations being remembered. Seeds you planted long ago beginning to grow. In places you never thought they could. And that person, that billionaire, they didn't just randomly think of you. Something triggered the memory. A name, a face, a story. A feeling they couldn't ignore. And now, whether you realize it or not, your life is brushing up against something bigger than your current reality. Something divine, something orchestrated. You see, God doesn't waste moments. What you thought was ordinary, God was using as preparation. What you thought was invisible, God was making unforgettable. What you thought was over, God was just beginning. And maybe that's why you've been feeling different lately. That restlessness, that sense that something is about to shift. That quiet voice telling you to stay. Ready even when you don't know what you're waiting for, because something is aligning, someone is remembering, and you are standing at the edge of a moment that could change everything. But here's the part that makes this even deeper. This isn't just about money. It's not just about wealth or success. It's about purpose. Because when God connects you to people of influence, it's never random. It's intentional. It's strategic. It's part of a bigger plan that goes far beyond what you can see right now. So, don't dismiss this feeling. Don't brush this off as just another message, because something inside you already knows. This is for you. And the question is not whether it's real. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? Because the same moment you forgot is the moment someone else never did. And what's coming may be tied to that very moment. What if that one moment you thought was nothing changed everything forever? You forgot that moment, but someone powerful never did. It didn't feel important at the time, did it? Maybe it was a day like any other. You were tired, distracted, just trying to get through your own struggles. Life wasn't easy. You had your own worries, your own silent battles that no one else could see. And yet, in the middle of all that, you chose to do something different. Maybe you held the door for someone when no one else would have noticed if you didn't. Maybe you gave your last bit of money to someone who needed it more. Maybe you defended someone when it would have been easier to stay silent. Maybe you spoke truth when a lie would have protected you. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't go viral. In fact, most people probably forgot about it seconds later. But you didn't do it for attention, did you? There was something deeper in you. Something quiet. Something unshakable. A part of you that refused to compromise, even when it would have been easier. A part of you that chose light, even when darkness felt closer. And life moved on. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, maybe even years. That moment faded into the background of your memory, buried under responsibilities, disappointments, and things that felt far more urgent. You may have even questioned yourself. Did it even matter? Did anyone even see? Was it worth it? And slowly, without realizing it, you convinced yourself that it was just a small, forgettable moment. But what if it wasn't? What if, in that exact moment, someone was watching, not in a way you expected? Not obvious, not announced, but present. Someone who saw the way you carried yourself when you thought no one cared. Someone who noticed the honesty in your voice, the compassion in your actions, the integrity in your choices. Someone who felt something shift, not because of what you had, but because of who you were. And that moment, it stayed with them. You see, powerful people don't just remember grand gestures. They remember authenticity. They remember rare character. They remember moments that reveal something real in a world full of masks. And what you did revealed something real. Something that couldn't be faked. Something that couldn't be bought. Something that stood out more than you realized. While you were busy moving forward, they were holding on to that memory, thinking about it, replaying it, trying to understand why it impacted them the way it did. Because in a world driven by gain, control, and status, what you did didn't follow the usual rules. It was different, it was pure, and it left a mark. You thought it disappeared into the past, but for them it became a reference point, a quiet reminder that people like you still exist, that integrity is still real, that goodness hasn't completely faded from the world. And here's what makes this even more powerful. You didn't know who they were. You didn't act differently because of their status. You didn't try to impress them. You didn't perform. You were just you. And sometimes that's exactly what God uses. Moments where you're unaware. Moments where your guard is down. Moments where your true character speaks the loudest. Because those are the moments that carry weight. Those are the moments that echo. And right now somewhere, that echo is getting louder. You may still see that memory as something small, something ordinary, something that came and went without meaning. But on the other side of that moment, something was set in motion, something you couldn't see, something you couldn't control, something that didn't need your awareness to begin working, because what God starts in silence often reveals itself in ways that feel impossible to explain. And now, without you realizing it, that one simple act is circling back into your life, not as a coincidence, but as a connection. You thought it ended there, but that was only the beginning. That small action reached places you could never imagine. You thought it stopped the moment it happened. You thought it lived and died in that single interaction. But that's not how it works when God is involved. Because when something is done with sincerity, real sincerity, it doesn't just stay in one place. It moves, it travels, it multiplies in ways your human mind can't fully trace. That person you helped, they carried it with them. Maybe they were having the worst day of their life. Maybe they were on the edge of giving up, questioning everything, losing hope in people, in themselves, even in God. And then you showed up, not with perfection, not with power, but with presence. And it shifted something, not loudly, not instantly, but deeply. They walked away, different. They spoke about it to someone else. They remembered your words at a time they needed strength. They made a better decision because of what you showed them. And just like that, what you thought was one moment became many. That's how impact works in God's hands. It doesn't stay contained. It ripples. One act becomes a story. One story becomes influence. One influence becomes change. And suddenly, something you did quietly begins echoing in rooms you've never entered, in conversations you were never part of, in decisions made by people you've never even met. You see, God doesn't measure impact the way the world does. The world looks for numbers, attention, visibility. But God looks at alignment. He looks at the intention behind your action, the purity of your heart when you chose to do right. And when that alignment is real, He breathes on it. And when God breathes on something, it expands. It reaches further than you planned. It touches lives you never intended. It opens doors you didn't even know existed. Because the truth is, nothing you do from a place of truth is ever wasted. Not a word, not a gesture, not a sacrifice. Even when it feels like it disappeared, it didn't. It was planted. And seeds don't make noise when they grow. They develop underground, unseen, unnoticed by the surface world. And for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. It feels like nothing is changing. You might even doubt that anything will come from it. But beneath that silence, something is forming. Contextions, memories, decisions being influenced, people being positioned, and somewhere in that unseen network, your action became a point of origin. It connected to someone who mattered more than you realized, not because of their money alone, but because of their reach, their influence, their ability to move things when the time is right. And what touched them stayed, because when someone who has everything encounters something real, it stands out. They're used to transactions. They're used to masks. They're used to people wanting something from them. But what you gave had no agenda, and that's rare. So rare that it lingers. So rare that it gets remembered. So rare that it begins to matter more over time, not less. And now, that memory is no longer just a memory. It's becoming a decision, a thought turning into action, a feeling turning into movement. Because the ripple you started has reached a place where it can come back to you in a way you never expected. Not by chance, not by coincidence, but by design. Because God doesn't just allow your actions to travel outward. He allows them to return when the moment is right. And that moment is closer than you think. You may not see all the connections yet. You may not understand how it all fits together. But you can feel it. Something shifting. Something aligning. Something preparing to surface, because what was hidden is not meant to stay hidden forever. And what was noticed is not meant to stay unspoken. And now, the truth behind who noticed you is about to be revealed. The person who noticed you has more power than you think, not just in wealth, not just in status, but in reach, in influence, in the ability to open doors that most people don't even know exist. This is someone whose decisions shift outcomes, someone who sits in rooms where futures are discussed, where opportunities are created, where lives are quietly changed with a single word. And yet, out of all the faces, all the voices, all the encounters they've had, they remember you. That's what makes this so unusual, because people at that level don't hold on to random moments. Their lives move fast. Their attention is constantly pulled in 100 different directions. They meet thousands of people, hear countless stories, see endless transactions. Most things blur together. But not you, not that moment, because something about it didn't fit the pattern they're used to. It wasn't calculated, it wasn't strategic, it wasn't driven by gain, it was real. And when someone who has seen everything encounters something real, it stops them, it stays with them. They may not have shown it at the time, they may not have said anything, but internally, something shifted. Something registered in a way that couldn't be ignored. They saw something in you that day. Something rare. Something they don't come across often. Maybe it was your honesty when you had the chance to lie. Maybe it was your kindness when you had nothing to benefit from it. Maybe it was your strength in a moment where others would have chosen the easy way out. Whatever it was, it revealed your nature, and that's what they remember, not what you had, not where you came from, but who you were when it mattered. You see, people with real power aren't impressed by appearances. They've seen it all before. They've heard every pitch, every promise, every performance designed to impress. But authenticity, that's different. Authenticity can't be faked. It can't be rehearsed. It shows up in unguarded moments, in unexpected ways. And when it does, it leaves an imprint. That's what happened with you. And here's where it goes deeper. This wasn't just a random encounter. This wasn't just chance, because God doesn't place you in front of certain people by accident. There are moments where paths cross, not because of timing alone, but because of purpose, divine alignment, a meeting that looks ordinary on the surface, but carries something eternal underneath. You were where you were supposed to be. They were where they were supposed to be. And that moment unfolded exactly as it was meant to. Not for immediate reward, but for future revelation, because sometimes God allows some with influence to witness your character before they ever know your story. before they understand your journey, before they see your potential fully unfold. Why? Because when the time comes, their decision about you won't be based on what they heard. It will be based on what they saw. And what they saw, they haven't forgotten. It's been sitting in their memory, quietly growing in significance. A moment they've revisited more than once. A feeling they couldn't quite explain, but couldn't shake either. And now, something is stirring. Something is bringing that memory back to the surface, not randomly, but intentionally, because when God begins to reconnect what was once distant, it means something is ready. A door, a conversation, an opportunity. Something that ties back to that very moment you thought was over. You didn't see the importance then, but they did. And now, that awareness is about to turn into action. Because people don't hold on to meaningful moments forever without a reason. Eventually, those moments demand a response. And when someone with that level of power responds, it doesn't stay small. It moves. It changes things. It creates a shift you can't ignore. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you're standing just before that shift. They haven't forgotten you, and something is about to happen. Everything you thought was small was actually preparing you for this moment. Every quiet decision, every unnoticed sacrifice, every time you chose to do right when it would have been easier to walk away. It was never random. It was never wasted. It was preparation. You thought those moments were just part of your past, something you did, then moved on from, but God was using them, shaping you, refining you, building something inside you that the world couldn't see yet, because purpose isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the hidden places. It's built when no one is clapping for you, when no one is validating you, when you're standing alone, still choosing integrity, still choosing faith, still choosing to believe that what you're doing matters, even when there's no evidence of it. That's where God does His deepest work. And now, you're beginning to see why. That moment you forgot wasn't just about someone else watching you. It was about God revealing you, revealing your heart, revealing your character, revealing that you are someone who can be trusted with more. Because recognition doesn't come before preparation, it comes after. And what's happening right now, this feeling you have, this sense that something is shifting, something is aligning, it's not your imagination, it's confirmation. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are seen. Seen in the moments when you struggled. Seen in the moments when you gave, even when you had little seen. In the moments when you stayed strong. Even when everything in you wanted to give up, God saw it all. And now, He's allowing others to see it too. Not by accident, but at the exact moment it's meant to be revealed. Because timing matters. If this had happened earlier, you might not have been ready. If it had come too soon, you might not have understood it. But now, after everything you've been through, after everything you've learned, after everything that has shaped you into who you are today, now you can receive it. Now you can walk into it. Now you can carry what's coming without losing who you are. This isn't just about someone remembering you. This is about God confirming you. Confirming that your life has meaning, that your actions carry weight, that your presence in this world is not random. It's intentional. You are chosen, not because you're perfect, not because you had everything figured out, but because you stayed true in moments that mattered, and that kind of faith, that kind of character, it opens doors that no one can shut. So don't doubt this moment. Don't question whether you deserve what's coming, because what's coming is not based on luck. It's based on alignment. Eilinson with purpose. Eilinson with truth. Alignment with the path God has been guiding you on, even when you couldn't see it clearly. And now, everything is converging. The past you thought was gone. The people you never expected. The opportunities you never imagined. All meeting. Right here, right now. So stand firm. Stay ready. And don't let fear you shrink back when the door opens, because it will open. And when it does, it won't just change your situation. It will confirm everything you've been through. If you feel this message in your spirit, don't ignore it. Comment Amen as a sign that you receive what God is doing in your life. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Like and share this with someone who needs this reminder today, because this isn't the end of your story. This is the moment everything begins to make sense. And the life you were preparing for is finally preparing to meet you.